Alright. Let me tell you something, okay? So I'm still editing this video as we're speaking right now. I know it's been a while, but I just want to go over a couple things while you're watching this video. So, first thing, you're going to see a little bit of fuzziness because I had one of my friends man the camera, and it was his first time doing it. He didn't realize that the autofocus was on like more than halfway through me doing this. I wouldn't even say more than halfway, probably a little less than that. Just pretend like you don't see it. Pretend like you don't see it. We'll keep it moving. Okay, boo-boo? Yeah, keep it moving. 2, I own this movie, but I did not rip it to my computer before doing the editing, or at all, actually. So I had to borrow some clips, and then I even had to do some old-fashioned bootlegging. So get ready to see some of that, bruh. Look, okay, alright, so I'm gonna level with you. So, a couple shots is gonna look like you bought this DVD from a gas station next to your house. But I'm using the clip to convey a point, so again, moving on. Pretend like you don't see it. Keep that shit moving, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much it. Just I had a lot going on here in the past couple months. Like, I moved into my new apartment. I've been working on some jobs here and there that pay me. So of course those take priority, and this is for free. So this is only one of them paying my bills right now. So I have a few videos on the backlog that is going to get edited after this. So there's going to be some more stuff happening regularly. Not only that, I'm going to have the bloopers out at the same time. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm going to have the bloopers out at the same time on Patreon as you're watching this video. So without further ado, let's fucking start the show. Oh, well, hello again. I know it's been a while, and we might have said some things that we did not mean to say to each other.
Your videos are so ass and you should seriously consider suicide, I swear. If Abraham Lincoln could see what you're doing with your freedom, he'd suicide. That's racist!
But that's all in the past now. And I've come to make up for past times with a gift. Thank you, the intro. Welcome, and for the people that don't know, hello. I am your main pepperoni jabroni MaxximumSupreme pizza, and this is Epic Movie Reviews, the show on the channel where I review movies with the secret ingredient. It's having a strong liver. Today's feature is in the seasonal spirits of pumpkin spice, autumn leaves falling, cold weather, white girls wearing sunk-in Uggs. It's referred to as Strangers is a chilling horror movie directed by Brian Barrento in the year of 2008. Good times. Good times. Ironically enough, in that particular year, one of the more terrifying movies was titled Quarantine. Foreshadowing! Now, I used to consider this one of my favorite horror movies, and I use the term used to because I was 17 in 2008. I will let you do that math there. Wasn't really a big fan of horror movies, still kind of not. Mostly involves blood and gore, hack and slash, killing people trying to fuck. Like, seriously, if just watch instead. If you didn't enjoy the performance, then that's when you killed them. For the terrible performance. The murder is the grade on the performance. Just do that instead. Now, The Strangers, it was built different. It didn't rely on gimmicky jump scares or grotesque dismemberment. It was a horror movie, so you still had your cliches of people running around in the dark, useless woe man characters falling while running. But there was another ingredient to this movie that is the reason why it legit terrified me in the movie theater and even days after watching it. Tension. Tension, defined by Google, is applying mental or emotional stress or stretching beyond its limit. Both of those definitions can be applied pretty heavily to this movie. Throughout the whole entire 1.5 hours of runtime, there's not really any music. It's mainly just a bunch of noise, and then after that a bunch of emptiness. Since this movie came out, a lot of other films have tried to copy that same exact thing, but none of them just seem as authentic because they weren't the first. This movie has under its belt a $9 million budget, has a 6.2 on IMDb, and as far as Rotten Tomatoes go, across the board it's 48% on both sides, which is pretty hard to do. It also had a delayed opening, but with all that, it still made 9 times back its budget in sales. Now I know that doesn't seem like a lot in today's standards, but let me break it down for you. You made a movie and made 9 times its budget back. That is essentially like you writing a paper in college. You turn it in late, but the teacher reads it, tears up, and says, "I have nothing left to teach you," and hands you a diploma. And as you're leaving the college, you have Anna at your car. She is waiting for you, and she whispers in your ear, "My Starfire costume is in the back." I don't know how else to put it. 9 times. That's a big deal. Okay, so let's review this movie and figure out whether or not I was justified in calling it my favorite horror movie. And just like any other time that I drink, I spoil things. So you have been warned. So this movie starts out with heartbreak. And it really sets the tone for the rest of the movie. The opening scene, we're walking into a house in the middle of nowhere. This is kind of important. Yeah. And then we flash back to the male lead asking the female lead. It's implied that he asks her to marry him. And it's implied that she says no. He still brings her to this house full of romantic gestures.
When did you do all this?
Take her home. That's it. We're done. Cut, print, end of review. We're done. I don't have to do this anymore.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
So they in the house. Mad sadness in the whole entire room. The male lead, he's eating ice cream. That's how sad he is. But then Shorty walks over to him and is just like, "Don't let me spoil a good time." And then she starts manipulating him. She starts kissing him. And then that's weird.
Is it 4 in the morning?
The person at the door asks, "Is Tara home?" Jason and Christian, that's the characters' names, by the way. They tell her no, and then they close the door. They agree that it's weird, and then they just act like that's normal human behavior at, again, 4 o'clock in the morning. So that sequence of events kind of messed up the pity fuck. Kristen is all like, "I want cigarettes. I'm down to my last one." Jason, trying not to kill himself, sees this as an opportunity to leave the house to clear his mind. And so he leaves her in an unfamiliar house in the middle of nowhere at 4 o'clock in the morning. And some creepy shit just happened. But shit got down, she did just turn down your proposal, you know what I'm saying? And then to make up for it, she tried to give you some condolence coochie. No. That's still a fucked up move. You don't do that. Even if they're not a good person, you don't do that to them. So shit naturally just gets crazy after Jason leaves, because that's just how these movies work. But then Jason comes back, and then everything comes to a literal halt for 6 seconds, and then shit right after that gets cranked up into 12th gear. And they try to leave in a car, and then it turns out that doesn't work. When the car that they try to leave in gets damaged, they run out the car. And where do they go? Back in the house to arm themselves. Did the car still work? Yes, it fucking did. The car still worked. and they just left it.
I don't know how to use this thing.
What do you mean?
I'm not sure I even know how to load it.
But you said you used to hunt with your dad.
No, I never did. It was something I said.
Of all the things to lie about, why did you choose that?
And then Mike shows up. Who's Mike, you're asking? That's Jason's homie.
Oh, Jimmy, Kristen?
Mike shows up because he was asked to be Jason's ride in the morning. just doing big homie shit for your homie. But don't get too used to it because, yeah.
Hello, slave.
This for our boy Mike. He didn't deserve any of that in this movie. He deserved so much better. It's for my homies. So Jason, now having to deal with being a murderer, is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna murder them. Heads up though. Oh shit! Oh shit! They were left with Kristen for the next 15 minutes of the movie. And let me tell you, it is the slowest, most agonizing fucking 15 minutes of the movie. We see her run from the house, crawl to a shed, get in the shed, talk on the radio, then, yeah, run back to the house. You know, the house where the murderers can obviously get into the house very easily. Kristen is a terrible character. I'm gonna get into why later. Kristen is back in the house doing the screaming thing that she does. But you know what? Jason's back. But none of that matters because so it's morning now and they have them tied up, and in that time period they like put their old clothes from last night back on, and then that's when they got to doing the and that's the end of the movie. After rewatching this movie, I realized why I held this movie in high regard. With that being said, I am a man now. Pay bills, all that shit. Shave my balls, all that shit. So I'm finna tell you about the things that I did not like. So I have gripes with this movie, but my gripes are more personal than it being like actual bad direction with the movie itself. I'll take that back. Some of it is. Why do you keep having the characters move from the house to a different setting back to the house? Like, I understand that you guys only had a budget of $9 million, but like, also in big letters at the bottom of the box and in the movie, this is based on true events. So in reality, the first time they got in the car, wouldn't they just use the car to actually get away from the danger? Like, I understand the car is not in the best running condition, but it still runs. And then besides that, there was also the truck that the killers came in. They couldn't park that far in order to come to the house and torment these poor people. Like, that doesn't make sense. Two, I think it's really fucked up how they did Mike in this movie. If we are to believe that he is Jason's best friend in the movie enough to where they have a scene where Jason calls him, like, there should be more to it. Like, when Mike dies, we as the audience don't care. What about this? If they had Mike show up after Jason and Kristen got stabbed in the morning and he's the one that finds their bodies. That would make more sense. That gives an emotional pull. But instead, he shows up, has something thrown through his car, gets out the car, goes in the house, dies instantly after that. We're not left to care. The movie could have continued without Mike's involvement. I just honestly would have preferred if they give Mike more as a character or nothing at all. 3, Kristen is the worst character in this whole entire movie. She literally can't do anything without Jason.
James? James?
I'm not saying that I want her to have all the answers, but she literally had fucking none.
Why are you doing this to us? Does your dad have a gun? What do you mean he didn't have a mask? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to us?
See, this is that shit I be talking about. You already fucking know why.
Not only is she the one that lives through this, but the whole entire time all of this bullshit is happening, she is wearing the ring that she denied Jason in the beginning of the movie. So is strangers Still my favorite horror movie? I would say no. But that being said, I do acknowledge all the hard work that they put into this movie. It being a low budget movie that it is, and all the work that they did audio wise in order to increase tension and stuff like that. Just for example, there's a scene in this movie where they introduce one of the killers. And you're just like, the whole entire time. So that's why I say, like, for 2008, this was amazing. Taking that scene in perspective. Let's apply it to real life. Think about all the times when you were younger and you had to walk down, like, a dark hallway to get to another room or, like, your room in order to sleep. I know for facts that, like, all of us just, like, ran down that bitch in darkness. Or, like, you had to walk down a staircase with no lights on because you were trying to be the quietest you could be. Things like that. Or you fucked around, didn't take out the garbage during the daytime like you were supposed to, and now you're taking it out at night. So that way you don't get yelled at in the morning. But as you're going outside, the dumpster is a little farther away than you remembered, and there's no sound outside. And then all of a sudden, something makes noise. And your heart starts pumping 3 times faster, and you're instantly in fight or flight mode. That's what this movie was, time after time after time. And I don't necessarily feel that so much now because I'm an adult and depression. But I can understand why 17-year-old Max was mad infatuated with these movies, because like it pulled that emotion out of him. And like it's rare that like horror movies do that nowadays without the jump scares or the dismemberment or, you know, the blood and gore and stuff like that. They're just not built like that anymore. I wouldn't say that this movie is my favorite horror movie now, but it still needs its flowers. You need to respect this movie. You need to respect this movie. You need to respect what this movie did. I lied. That was the last shot. That was the video. Subscribe if you like the dive. Like and share. Please, it helps me with the algorithm gods, all that jazz. I would like to do this full time, but until then, I'll just see you next time.
Yeah, my niggas coming through. Yeah, young Jit off in the building.